This conference will now be recorded.
So if we hit reject, we're going to have require a rejection reason. I know that we put some of those in there. I'm starting to see a few data things that aren't in there, and I'm a little worried about that.
Well, that might be because the test database might have been updated with the wrong refresh as well.
Right. That's okay. Rejection reasons, we've got this covered. Controls, rejection reasons. And done. So now we can go ahead and put in more information needed, insufficient information, no longer needed. And these are the rejection codes, standard rejection codes that we usually put in the system. We can add more if we need to, but for this purpose, we're going to actually go ahead and approve our requisition and move it through. Ginger, do you want me to go ahead and approve it since I'm on the screen here now?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get it. I mean, well, I'm in a different database, so yes, can you just approve
Okay,
it?
will do. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And we have now recorded our screen, and it's going to pop up this query again. So it'll show that this requisition is now moved on to the next phase. So as a requester or as a person pending approvals, there's a couple of reports you're probably going to want to, and I'm closing out some screens here. You're going to want to be familiar with them. These are in the training guide as well. If we're going to materials, procurement planning, purchase requisitions, we can see that we have our procurement planning reports and inquiries. If we are looking for a particular requisition and want to find out its approval status, we come up here, we can run this actual report, or we can come down here to this requisition status screen. And it's kind of a view screen, and we hit the lightning bolt. It will return all requisitions that are in the system that match any of these criteria up here on the right-hand side. So now if we come down to this rec header approval subtask, it lets us know who's required, and it looks like we're going to have you sign into the system and approve that requisition, because I have us both as needing to sign that. So, but here's where we can see who's signed it, who's responsible with the date and time that they've done that, and who's still outstanding and needed to actually go ahead and approve the requisition. Any questions so far on the submission of the requisition while Ginger logs out of config and into test, please?
No, other than to go back to that listing. So I just want to, for clarification, there are actually two requisitions.
This listing right here?
Yeah, what's the, how does Mike A end up in employee name?
Oh, that's because I don't have an employee under my user ID, so I grabbed him off the top of the list so that I can fill in my user ID.
Okay.
When Ginger goes in and fills out, everybody's user ID matches their employee name, so that's why they will have the proper information showing up. I'm just making it quick here.
Is there anywhere on the requisition for the requester to put like recommended vendors?
Absolutely.
Or is that leaving it up to the purchaser to buy from whomever?
Sure. Let's go back and take a look at that in the requisition. So in our requisition screen, and we'll pull up our actual requisition here. I'm going to hit query and hit find. It's going to find our only record in there today. We can, there's a couple of different ways we can do this. Obviously, Cosmo has got tons of different ways of doing things. Most folks will just type here in this notes field. They will enter in information here in the notes at the header, or if it's line-specific information, typically they'll go into form and also type in the notes, internal notes or line notes here. Internal notes just go to the buyer or to procurement, and line notes actually will copy over to the printed purchase requisition if you want. If you wanted to get more detailed under the information on the part, you could actually come in and start to describe other information related to this part and put in particular vendors and other pieces of data that you would want for this for the vendor. So we have alternate part numbers. If we have preferred vendors loaded, preferred manufacturers, we can go ahead and enter those here. And then the buyer, when they receive the requisition, will be able to take note of that. Again, for those vendors and the manufacturers to appear here, though, we need to enter them into the vendor table and manufacturer tables in CostPoint.
So it's not something that they could fill in themselves. It would have to have already been a vendor within our system?
Correct. And if it's a new vendor, they can definitely be added. It doesn't have to have a history behind it. It just means that you need to enter that information to that table here at CostPoint. They would come in under these controls and codes and maybe add manufacturers that they recommended there or other vendors that they would recommend.
Okay, Raph, where do you want me to go?
Sure. So let's go ahead and purchase requisitions and then approve purchase requisition. And it should give you a query screen, and then you will go in and you'll see that requisition there for you to approve.
Okay.
All right, and so I refreshed the screen and with the lightning bolt, and we saw that at 1:38. Ginger, go ahead and approve the requisition. So if we see the status is changed from in approval to now approved. All right, and then at this point, Kay would probably take over, and we would start working on the creation of that purchase order and converting it from a purchase requisition to a purchase order. There's a screen for the buyer to come in and use. They'll come in and they'll query their requisition. Luckily, there's only one for us to use today. And here's where the buyer can assign themselves to the requisition. We can come in and under the other information start to get a preferred vendor. So any vendors that are in our system, we will go ahead and attach those here, and then we create the purchase requisition linkage. We actually assign the PO number here. We're able to modify the prices here if we need to because we are negotiating some of that data. So I could come in here and under the assign PO screen, we're gonna auto load is going to ask for a couple of bits of information. So let's go ahead and click on our new button there. And here's where.
Quick question. Yes. On the preferred vendor, if we're actually creating a PO to be issued to a vendor,
capture that information, make them a preferred vendor.
Well, I don't want it to be preferred. I want it to be actual.
Yeah.
I don't want to create a PO with a vendor I'm not going to use.
Right.
Right. So,
so is preferred just a bad name that we have to label?
Yeah.
So preferred vendor is just a bad term that CostPoint has yet to remove from the screen because this is who you're actually cutting the PO to on the from the purchase rack.
You can just say vendor.
Or selected vendor, but yes, vendor with
Selector.
Current
Preferred
vendor.
for this purchase rec.
Yeah.
It is.
Yes.
Oh, piece of crap.
Yeah, right?
I get you. And so that's kind of wraps up that beginning of that process. So do we have access to a computer that someone will be able to present as a presenter, and they'll be able to walk through the purchase requisition?
Yeah,
While
I
we're
guess I could do.
Yeah, while we're deciding that, let me go ahead and go back to our training documentation, and we'll look at what we kind of just covered. So we walked through the materials and purchase requisition where you had that new button. We went ahead and looked at that approval process, and we selected the one A1, A2, A3 based on our information. We defaulted in the buyer if we needed to ahead of time. The requisition date will default to today as it says here. We're going to go in and click on that project account org, and we used our spyglass to go ahead and find that information as you see. Then we've entered our ship to address or ship ID, deliver to, so we can put whoever's name we want on there. So if we're going to deliver it to Steve versus Craig or Craig versus Steve, they'll have that information there. And then the requisition line. This one we're using that miscellaneous line type. Typically though, folks will just enter an item, the line, the ship ID, unit cost, which I omitted to do. And then we're going to verify that information on that tab. And it's going to walk us through the rest of the buyer information, the preferred vendor, which we don't like that term either, but we're going to use that. And at the very end, we're going to hit that save icon and then OK to proceed and then click OK. And then unless we've submitted that submit for approval button, it's going to get that same error message that are shown here. This does talk a little bit about attaching supporting documentation through content management integration. That's that CMI SharePoint linkage. I don't think we have that going on here, but that's something we can look at for a follow-on stage with you guys if you like.
Say that again. Explain that a little bit, Raph, if you would, please.
Yeah, because we will need that.
Yeah. So part of our process is that each purchase requester, because they're using government money, each one is required to use government terms, assure price reasonableness. So they have to be able to do that, and at a certain value, they have to provide K with 3 different quotes, or they have to write out a narrative on why they picked this one vendor because nobody else can produce it. So that kind of documentation, the quotes, and actually in every case, whenever there's we have to get a quote from a vendor that K has to see that quote.
Correct. And so, do you guys have a SharePoint or other document type of system? Okay.
You have SharePoint.
Awesome. So it typically works best with SharePoint because it is what they call content management integration standard compliant, another way for Microsoft to get their money. And so what happens is we would set up provided you guys have the license for that, and let's go ahead and double check right now. System admin, content management, looks like you do. What will happen is we would help you set up your content types. They're located on your SharePoint side. And then once those content types are set up and we link them to the application, what happens is an attach button will appear here between copy, delete, and so there'll just be a button that says attach. And they upload those documents to SharePoint. The requester comes in here, hits attach, which then directs them to that SharePoint directory, and they attach those documents to this requisition. So they're now based on the linkages in SharePoint and the content types on that screen in CostPoint. Every time we look at this requisition, we can view those attached documents.
Good. Good.
That's good.
That's part of our process.
I thought
like
said, in the beginning, they said they couldn't attach anything.
Yeah, so that's good. Yeah. That's really good.
Yes.
We have to work that into our process, and when we train those that are actually going to be doing this, they know that they have to do quotes or a sole source, and they're going to have to do them through SharePoint.
Right. So I don't know if you guys have a pretty savvy SharePoint administrator on your side or not, but I think we do have some data that we can provide on how that's all done.
Okay. That would be very helpful. Yeah, it would be Mike Matacola.
Okay, I will send that out at the close of the meeting today. So
The quotes can actually be on that person's desktop. It doesn't have to be in SharePoint.
Right.
They're just pulling it up.
It's like an
SharePoint. Yeah.
But yeah, they can pull it up through SharePoint. They can leave it on their computer.
SharePoint is just a depository for what
Correct.
gets attached. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
But could they attach it without SharePoint?
Yes.
no,
No?
no,
So
they would have to have SharePoint to do that. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it'll only look at it'll only point to SharePoint to save to SharePoint?
Yeah, it will only point to that SharePoint directory to find purchase requisition supporting documentation, if you will. So.
Oh, you can't do it from your desktop?
Yeah, so you can upload. So if you scan it to your desktop or scan it from or receive an email from the vendor, you can then upload from your desktop to SharePoint, and then once it's in SharePoint, then you can grab it here in CostPoint to make that link.
Okay, so SharePoint is
Gotta be in the SharePoint?
yeah, SharePoint's the repository from which CostPoint draws the.
Yeah, both draws and redeposits.
Correct.
That
So,
sucks.
are you saying that if for some reason it's deleted from SharePoint, we no longer have it attached in CostPoint?
That's correct.
So, I like that.
Yeah, I don't
Well,
like
I
that.
mean, it's better than before because before people would put on the Z drive or the X drive on the network, and whoever blew that away. I mean, so the advantage of SharePoint is that if you move that directory and you restructure SharePoint and you move those linkages, as long as those linkages can reference back to the original area, CostPoint will maintain those linkages. So if I move it from this SharePoint repository to this SharePoint repository because I've restructured it, those linkages, from my understanding, should stay intact.
So are we still gonna maintain our current purchase order file?
I think we're gonna have to.
For a little bit at least,
Well, yeah, until
so everything
goes in through here.
Yeah, but the concern, and I agree with that, but the concern that I have is that if the documents that are being attached are in SharePoint and they get removed from SharePoint, then we don't have a complete procurement file.
Yeah.
Everybody has access.
Well, we just have to go through the backup process for SharePoint to make sure that that is recoverable.
Yeah, we have to do that.
Wouldn't that requisition stay in the system with the attachments that were
No.
attached to it?
No.
Even when you're done with the requisition?
No, it's just
For
simply a link.
historical purposes?
why do double the work?
It just points.
It just points, it's a link, but
You don't have to worry.
An alias, correct, Raphael?
Correct. You say, please link this documentation based on this requisition number, and it associates that document number in SharePoint to this requisition number and makes that link.
You know how hard
A
those
couple different fields.
Yep.
right, well, they won't be able to do these purchase recs with New either. It's the same thing.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and hit close here on my purchase rec screen, and I'm going to go ahead and move over, and we're going to have our new presenter present, and we're going to have someone create a requisition.
So Kay's gonna have to keep basically a separate setup. Like we've done here.
Like I do already.
Yeah, because if we're audited, we have to be able to show all the files together.
You gotta go back to the requisition.
KK.
You're driving, Jay.
All right.
Because the requester doesn't have access to the procurement. That's why. They don't now. No, right now they. Well, they could still email it to her, but,
Is
at least this way, when she gets purchase rec,
You're gonna have to override me.
she'll have that link to see those files.
and how by clicking.
Otherwise,
Cost
she'll
point?
have to separately email
Yep.
her.
And let's go ahead and make sure that we're logging in the test here. So.
How to do that, just click that show additional at the bottom.
Yeah. So you
Yeah,
have to-
no, so, yeah, so,
you'd have to go in
instead
there
of
for
CFG, it's TST. There you go.
Yeah, but then we have to get,
Right on.
Yeah.
Right, but they may not want it. Well, then she's just gonna project it. Hey, Rafi, before we jump into this, so in terms of buyers, those that are authorized to approve purchase orders, who do you have listed? Is it just Kay?
Authorized to generate purchase orders? Is that,
Correct.
Yeah, right now it is just K.
So we need to add Chuck and myself to that. Because,
We need backup.
well, A, we need backup, and B, because going forward, everything that we do, whether we're just buying nuts and bolts and screws and hardware, or we are buying services from another company, which today we use a subcontract for. All of that is going to be going through this system, and the people that sign those subcontracts are Kay, Chuck, and myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then all of us administrators will also have
Yes.
ability to do it in a emergency situation.
Yeah.
So this is gonna be for subcontract agreements as well? With
Every-
all the Ts and Cs, MIKEL terms and
Yeah.
conditions?
We're gonna load them in.
Wow.
The standard PO terms and conditions should be in here now.
Well, that should be a supplement to the actual PO,
Yes.
not necessarily coming out of the system, just
Okay.
for efficiency to get it out, because if there's ever gonna be a change to the particulars of that Ts and C agreement.
I'm okay with that, but then we need wording that's actually in the PO that says the attached to.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm okay with that. But,
Raph,
We buy
Yes,
a
ma'am.
stamp.
for this purpose, am I
Now
just
we're
using the
back.
test approval?
That's correct.
easy.
Oh, sorry. What?
Yeah, going back to the Trump days.
Yeah.
Will the miscellaneous type always be missed? Like, it looks like freight charges.
Did I ever tell you I have meeting Tourette's?
It will always be missing, yeah.
It's extra.
All right, so I'm guessing if,
Unless we want to be
So I'll
fair,
just-
I could add miscellaneous too, if we want to be fair for everybody. Miscellaneous and miscellaneous, if that's okay. Okay. That would,
Wow, Rob.
That's a Craig joke.
Right.
Nice and cheesy.
Or
Oh.
self-identified Elenius.
Self-identified Elenius. Elenius, I guess.
It's like one of those, what do they call it, maintenance covers and manhole covers now out here, out in Berkeley. So.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, Raph?
Oh, no, that, out here in the West Coast, they've changed there you go. Instead of a manhole cover, it's now maintenance cover. So they don't want to offend anybody out here, so.
Oh, you're kidding me.
No.
Well, I guess.
Yeah.
They're firefighters, they're firemen.
Actually, they're now first
Just like
responders.
the estimated unit cost, well, which model are we getting? I mean, that's, it could be a big difference, so.
I know.
What do you recommend?
Biblia,
Yeah?
Thank you.
or the Huracan.
They don't make the Countach anymore.
All those things.
It's Italian.
Phonetically,
Yeah.
What was the first one?
a Huracan.
$500.
Hurricane.
Hurricane.
Huracan.
Huracan? Okay.
Sure.
Not to be confused with Kubla Khan.
Almost looks like Carl Icahn, but it's Huracan.
What?
We gotta change that sales tax.
Yeah.
Well, you can manually override that.
So hypothetically, say that there's going to be shipping on this. They're going to charge us shipping. Would I just add a new line? And that's where the miscellaneous freight comes from?
We can
Is
do either way. We can do either way. We can get a new line for freight, and then we have a freight code that we put in the system, or we can go to those line charges, which is that fifth little task at the very bottom underneath by account.
Well,
I think we should,
let me ask this. How do we bill it? In aggregate or in piecemeal?
We bill it when it's, no, not all the time. So if there's multiple things on it, accept it as it comes in.
Okay.
So it could be, most of the time it's one thing.
Yeah.
But sometimes there's, right, Kay, there's 10 things on one, and it comes in and you bill it as it comes in.
but how do you build the shipping and handling the tax?
Oh, how do you, I guess when the invoice comes in, it's whatever on the invoice.
Correct.
So you can invoice each time the item comes. Yeah. So then
I don't usually, the only time I'll break out the tax and the freight is if it's separate items
And the invoice.
on the invoice that come in. If it's just the whole invoice with the whole PO, I just put the whole total amount.
I'll be honest, from an accounting point of view, it's too much noise. It costs me, this is the classic American versus the rest of the world. Why do you give me a separate price that doesn't include tax and all this other crap? Just give me one price. So from an accounting point of view, unless, and I'm putting it out to everybody here, is there a reason on an output flow or any type of billing requirements, and Ginger's not paying attention?
No, I'm listening.
Okay, that we need to have tax or shipping as a separate item?
Yes. We might not have to now, but there was a reason why I did that, was because I used to have to write up the line for the girls when the FAs, when they did something. Remember when you did first, they needed to see the description. But since then, the girls have said that they use a separate report that tells all the detail anyway, so all those lines I no longer need to type out every single item.
But do they need it, since they're gonna be the approver before K, or me or Chuck?
Yeah, they're first, like expense reports, they're the first.
Correct, so they're gonna need to know what the total amount is, and they can see if there's enough budget.
Yeah. So they just know in aggregate how much it is.
Right.
So I would
So there's no need to
recommend,
be a deal with
I would recommend initially start out, unless anybody tells me that there's a specific need to do it, let's not do it. Everybody in agreement?
Not put
not
shipping
break
and handling and.
Correct.
And tax?
No, not put it in the total?
Yeah, just put it in the total. It says, because again, this is just a
put it in
PO.
the total, not
That
break it
says-
out.
Yeah, I mean, it could come
Put it
up,
in the total.
it could come over on the quote that says, hey, the unit is $10 and I got $2 of extra crap.
Put it in here.
On the
put
PO,
whole
all
total.
I care about is $12.
All right. So if
Because
I
that's
could,
gonna eventually get.
Well, yeah, because we're adding like a 10%
Yeah,
or
you
something,
don't break out the sales tax
cushion
or
or whatever.
something.
No, cushion, because sometimes the shipping and handling or tax is a little
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter, as long as the item price.
Yeah, that's all I care about, unless there's a requirement on the output side to match it against, which I don't think so, because it's gonna be $14 gets matched against an invoice of $14.
Yeah, I mean, you don't,
Well, I do
99%
match,
of the
I do
time-
match the recs to the.
but 99% of
to
the time, the
to
tax and shipping does not match, right?
But
It's always a little
Yeah,
off.
yeah,
But
no,
it's
but I
But
do
the
match the
item price
original
should
item,
always
so.
Right.
match. So
So
I'm
eventually-
with you.
Yeah, so eventually it'll just be a plug, difference between the PO and invoiced amount, which is always some sort of reconciliation of shipping was an extra.
Well, with that being
8%.
said, if the item price is wrong.
Yep.
Or different, which happens often, I won't know that because the total is going to be altogether.
Yeah, but we're still within the confines of, if it's within 5% or 10% of the actual PO price, I don't care. The government pays for it.
so Ginger, I'll show you a trick on the AP side where the purchase order voucher screen, where you can add line charges and shipping charges and not affect having to go back and reopen the PO, so AP can do their thing without disrupting everybody else too.
Okay.
So when we buy, so in other words, what we're saying is that when we order, we're gonna go to Joe Blow's machine shop.
Well, we're going to Lamborghini of Norwood here.
So we're gonna go to Lamborghini Norwood, we're gonna order a car, and the shipping and handling is $250, and the insurance is another $100, so that's $350, and then plus tax. So that has to be included in the total price
On the PO.
on the PO, which means all of that has to be included in
the rec.
total price of the rec.
In the one item that says purchase price.
So we're relying on the purchase requesters to make sure that the vendor quote has all of that included.
So you know what this gets back to? The template that we were talking about.
That's
Coming
correct.
up with a MIKEL RFP or RFQ template that program
purchase
managers or
requester
whomever
sends out.
can send out to the supplier that breaks that out by
And
piece
that bottom
with a total
what
at the very, very
And that
bottom.
total is what
So we
goes
can
in.
go back to that
Right.
and see.
Yeah,
what the
did you
shipping and
include,
tax, what was it, kind of thing, so.
So we need
So
to
all,
do that.
all the more reason why the three of us should work on
Right,
that
so
template
we
and
need to do
capture
that.
all that information and
So
have it
that's-
available.
But I want the purchase order, when Kay or you or me hits that button to send the purchase order, I want it to clearly say, price includes shipping, handling, insurance, and tax, so that the vendor can't add something to it. It's a contract, and I don't want them changing it.
oh, yeah,
Yeah,
so we
right.
can, you can
Yeah.
put that into the notes.
Yeah, but I want it spelled out in the purchase order, so they know it.
So we're gonna work on that template.
Okay.
Yes.
Or so that the wording in the template
all that information.
equals whatever goes onto the PO. So if it only says this includes shipping and tax, and that's it. And that's what was included in the quote. I agree. But again, from an efficiency point of view,
It's just one.
I don't want to muck up the water.
You
Yeah,
just want one number.
You don't want all the details, you just
Yeah.
want the bottom line that matches the
We
bottom
just have to know
line
what that
of
number
the quote.
includes.
Okay.
Right.
Sorry, Raphael, didn't mean to get off on a track, but
No, that was good though.
No, that is helpful.
little headache going forward.
All right, so maybe you can help clear because I'm still a little confused. I get that line charges is where we could put any shipping and handling charges. However, if there are multiple lines and the shipping and handling is for all the lines combined, would I still go into line charges, or is there a separate place?
Your total is going up, where you put the total there, instead of $1,500, it's gonna be, say, the shipping and taxes, $500. Your now total is gonna be $2,000. And that's.
So from my understanding from listening in, I don't think there'll be a separate line, Kay. But if you needed to, you could just create a separate line.
Yeah.
Okay, so no need for a second, everything's gonna be in that one total.
Right. So hypothetically, like I could go and add, trying to save this. All right. And then if I were to create like a second line, I would add a third line for the shipping.
Yep.
If you needed to.
If there was shipping.
Lift up.
Right. You can use miscellaneous. You can use a freight code. You could use any other code you wanted to. Yeah.
Your first line's gonna, that total on your first line is gonna have the product, the shipping, the handling, and the freight. That whole total is
Right.
the total on the first line. There's not gonna be a second line or a third line, right? He doesn't wanna break it out, he wants it all in one.
But some recs will have multiple lines because there's going to be multiple things.
Ah,
That is
the
Right.
total,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, but that's up to
total at
the rec,
bottom
not
of that
the
rec is
PO.
what he wants you to put up there.
The PO should come over, the rec,
the purchase order basically duplicates the rec, right?
yes. You don't want to add things to a purchase order that weren't on the rec.
Well, okay.
No. But I'm working on a requisition right now. So for me, from a requisition standpoint, I'm trying to understand where I would put all the information I would need.
Oh, okay.
Right.
All right, you're doing the rec. All right, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I do have a question then on the tax.
Okay.
If you wanted, no, I'm thinking on trying to ask a question. If you don't want to separate it out, is what you're saying, right?
Well, let me ask you this. Does the government like paying our other governments?
Well, let me give you an example first. What if there's 10 line items? You have to separate it because you can't add 3 cents to each one or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
3 cents to what?
Each item.
Right. So if you have 10 items on a rec and let's say the sales tax and shipping is $15, the easiest thing to do is just add a separate.
Yeah,
line.
then that'd be up to Kay to put up some sort of, I guess, actually in the back end when we do the invoicing, we do a pro rata based on dollar amount spent.
You mean for each line?
Is what?
You mean how much to put on each line? Or what are you saying? I feel like maybe it is easier just to make them separate lines.
Okay, so now we have two. We're buying Lamborghinis and we're buying covers for
Yep.
them.
Car cover. We need a car cover.
Yes, we
Yeah.
need them.
Similar to Steve's.
Yes, exactly.
All right. So there's like one flat fee
And a
for
whole crap
shipping.
load of leather preserver because
Wow.
Slick has been driving it.
I love this thing with the car cover.
And there's like one flat fee.
Right, so why, so I guess that's my question, why would you
Things in
just,
the rearview mirror bigger than they appear.
would you just divide it, or, I feel like it's easier just to make a third line.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
it would.
Plus, you know, if, when the item comes in, that they didn't increase the price on the item. That's the other problem.
Well, here's where I'm getting confused, because you mentioned on the form you guys were gonna create, that's gonna have the breakdown.
Mhm.
So when they do the rec, there's one total, there's no need for the breakdown, which then is gonna flow to the PO, which will be one total, which is then gonna flow to the invoice.
Yeah.
So the rec shouldn't be broken down based on what they're saying, because the breakdown is gonna be on the form you guys are creating.
Right,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah, I would just put what you're actually receiving, because that's all we're getting reimbursement for.
So we don't get reimbursed for shipping?
We do, but what we should be doing is when the final invoice comes in, it gets allocated to that price. So on the receiving side, if shipping comes out to be, $10, Brenda can go in there and just say, all right, I'm just gonna ascribe, the cost of the Lamborghini was whatever's on the invoice plus $10, and then the car cover was whatever that was plus $10. So that the sum of the total after allocation equals the total of the invoice.
So,
Okay, when I enter the invoice, I just enter the full total invoice. I don't break out.
are we,
How much you pay, how much you pay, right, not when I enter the invoice.
are we eliminating shipping from requisitions then?
No.
Because is that, am I understanding
Yeah.
correctly?
Yes.
So what if, like,
Has to be
he's
included.
like, I need
right?
this tomorrow, it's gonna cost an additional $500 to make sure he gets it tomorrow.
Yep.
And some of those are shipping,
Right, and the
right?
FAs
That's
need to
Yeah,
know that.
like, I have that situation right
then
now, like,
it should be on them, it should be on there.
someone sent a requisition,
No, it should be on the purchase request.
That's what this is.
well,
Yeah.
it's,
No, that's the rec.
so
They're
I
doing
think
a
the question
form.
is, from the
broken out?
information we get in the template, how much detail from
Right.
that?
Is it broken
from
out
that
separately?
quote do we put in the requisition?
Or is it in one price?
I say it's in one price for this purpose. For processing, it should be.
So if it's in one price, then, okay, if we're gonna do that, I'm okay with that, then the requester needs to put a note in there that says, total price includes $3,000 extra for shipping due to
so
last minute.
am I altering the price
I feel like
of
that's
the
gonna be
line
additional
item first to include
contract with
shipping?
billing.
Yep.
That's what I'm worried about.
I'm feeling, Craig,
How
I
are you
feel
guys
like
gonna do what we gotta do? We gotta make
they're
sure
gonna
you
be-
have the information you need
To bill,
to be able to bill the way you need to be able to bill.
correct.
So whatever, we gotta work really closely with you on this template to make sure that we request the exact information in the breakout of all the details that you're gonna need to see at some point in time. Then
Rob,
the other
you still there?
question is how much of that
I am still here.
information do
Okay,
you
buddy.
want visible on the requisitions?
And yeah, and sometimes you're saying do it on the back end, break it down. Sometimes we've got product stuff that's 15 pages long, and there's no way I can break it down on every single item. So I just put the whole entire thing,
If it all goes to one contract, that's fine.
but it doesn't always.
Right, so then it
So
needs
when
to
we
be.
got 15 pages long, breaking the tax out on every single line item for different, if it's for 4 different contracts, that's just ridiculous. You might as well just put it on the rack.
But not on a consistent basis. I mean, because
No
that's
more often than you think.
but that's an exception base. So maybe we just do that for anything with multiple orders. You break down the tax. Actually, you don't.
So what do you do, like Dave stuff,
All right, let's take this offline. We're getting sidetracked here. So let's just go through the training, and we can hammer this thing out a little bit later without
Sure.
Rafael's hourly expense rate.
I'm
Anyway,
still allowed to charge?
I'm sorry?
I'm still charging? I didn't know that. I thought it was done. All right. So we got our car covers, we got the actual Lamborghinis themselves. We still need to go to our accounting default to make sure our project account and org are going to match.
Aren't we missing a comma in that number? But anyway.
We are.
It's over $1 million.
Oh,
188017.
18.
So we don't even worry about the tax.
1880.17.
Are we gonna charge that car to Dave?
That middle one, Raph.
Why not? Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I'm driving. Wait, is
Oh,
it 18?
sorry. I forgot Kay was driving.
Lamborghini.
Yeah, there you go. Pick any of them. The last one's fine.
It's gotta be no D, it's gotta be no DC,
Yeah.
yeah.
5200. Yep.
Is there a way to take away a
The
lot of this
labor
stuff?
stuff. Like all the labor. The labor should never be on here. it should show only ODC accounts.
Yeah, maybe for the project work breakout, we gotta do that.
Yeah, because there shouldn't be labor accounts on here anyway.
Okay.
All right. So let's click on our errors and find out where our errors are showing up. Let's see. So our accounts are, go ahead and hit close on that bottom right-hand side. And so because we went ahead and created our lines before we added our accounting defaults, our accounting information hasn't made its way down from the header to the individual lines. So, Kay, between deliver to and discount, if you can find a little space underneath there and then right-click, move your mouse up to that area and then right-click.
Hold on. Deliver to and...
Well, under discount PO, right in the center defaults there.
Center, hold on, I still can't find discount.
Almost. It's okay. Go move to the left and go down a little bit. Now right click. You should right click there. And now we should be able to load our project, load our organization, and load our accounts. I think we should have enough room for all of that. You can see them loading in that screen. And then
load project, load.
Organization. And then accounts, which is at the very top. I don't know if you can see that, or I'm. I need to scroll up on this your side scroll bar. Give yourself a little extra room. Load account. All right. Now we should be go ahead and in good shape. So. Great.
Sorry, missed that. What happened?
So, because I put the line information before I put the account detail.
Oh.
The account detail didn't load to the line.
Okay.
So I think, yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. So that's why when we do the instructions, we always request that the accounting information go first in the order of items there. So great. So we're in submitted for approval. I'm going to go ahead and approve my side. I don't know if Ginger, you want to go ahead and approve your part?
Did you order enough for all of us?
No, because everybody else is eating lunch. If you want some, take some.
I mean, this was my lunch, popcorn.
Oh, well, I had
Thanks, Craig, by the way.
If you want some, take some.
I made popcorn for everybody. I don't know.
Don't get me started. I paid for it, so if anybody wants any, just take some.
No, we're just teasing that video with the mom's teasing.
Anyway, you gotta go approve this now.
Okay, right here.
It's the ID number.
2. Okay, which one is that? 2.
We didn't get the matching watches with the Lamborghini? Okay.
Dave? Status can only be changed. Oh, I have to do, I see. Okay.
Extended your cost of 750 extended cost.
So.
How many Lamborghinis are we buying?
3.
Oh, I know what it is.
One in red, one in.
These are the battery-powered ones for the kids.
Nice.
Apparently, we did go with the Folo Lambo.
The excessive fuel tax. Did we add that to it?
No.
Okay, add that to it.
No, that goes under the registration and consumption PO.
So, Raph, you can have your Ducati. I'll take my Lamborghini.
All right, okay, that's fine. I'll be able to make it through traffic.
Okay, it should be approved now.
Approved. Nice. So everybody else who's on the sidelines there, does everybody follow along okay? Are we good?
So we went through and we approved it. How do I?
Apply PO information to purchase requisitions. There you go.
Okay, this is a separate buyer.
This is a buyer. This is a buyer function screen. So this is the buyer's going to hang out and do their thing.
Right. So do we have a buyer instruction manual for us part-timers that will never do it, but might do it, and then Steve and Chuck that will occasionally do it?
I mean, the three of us might end up in Hawaii sitting around your own.
Yes, it is in the documentation that I sent. It's in the documentation I sent you.
I've been on the list for 6 years, so.
I've been twice.
So you know.
I've been twice. Just saying.
So yeah, so the documentation I sent has the purchase order instructions as well.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and query. We're going to do this. Let's go ahead and clear that error at the bottom. We're going to query. So, and count. And it's going to bring up our 2 records. Okay, I thought we set one of this up before, but we can do it in production. But if we can query for just approved requisitions, we'll set that up for you. So.
Yeah.
There's that Ducati, that mini bike.
Rock rocket.
Yeah. Those things are scary fast.
I would never get on with it.
So what am I clicking? New?
So we're good now. So we're going to go to Form View, upper right-hand side. We're going to click on Form.
Those that
Right.
have gone down, and those that will go.
And then we're going to go to Other Information.
I didn't catch that. What was it?
Sure. Other Information. Other, it's like the 3rd tab over there. To that. There you go. And we're going to put in our preferred, not preferred vendor, but the vendor that we're actually buying from.
Okay.
I think we can get these from McMaster Car now. I think they're selling Lamborghinis on the side, so. And we can put whoever you want here, so.
Okay, your company credit card will authorize Lamborghinis, like Brenda just said so.
Well, I have a limit, and it's within the limit, so.
There you go.
Yeah, right?
Fortunately, that's the Matchbox version.
Amazon.
Right there.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Amazon Capital Services? Really?
Probably.
You sure?
Yeah.
That's the opposite of Prime. That's where they charge you like the 40% max of because it's government service as opposed to the regular ones. Yep.
Did we?
But somebody gets 8 million frequent flyer miles out of it.
Yeah.
There you go. So we're gonna hit Tab and head over to the Address tab. So we're gonna make sure our address pulls up.
Because all your vendor names now begin with D.
Oh yeah.
Address tab?
Yep. Well, you're right there where you're at. K, you just the next little section over. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Tab. So that's where you're. Yeah. Go ahead and go back to address and then pull up the address that your the default address for the vendor. That should pull up there. Payment address. Yep.
Funny how that doesn't self-populate, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe because like National Grid. Oh well, that's accounts, not addresses.
But they could have a couple of different.
So now we're going to do the same thing we did earlier. By that discount field, we're going to actually right-click and we're going to actually load our the preferred vendor. It's right underneath organization. And so now our vendor has been added to all our lines. If we look down to lines on the far left-hand side, we see those little green check boxes. And so that says our vendor has been written to that. Okay. Next step is to the assigned PO, which is right in the middle underneath the 0.00 discount. I'm going to click there.
Can I say
And then we're going to hit auto load.
1 second, Rap. So you picked the vendor from the preferred vendor list, but the list was the AP list. So if there's a vendor the requester wants to use that's a new vendor and it's not in AP, they can't pick that vendor until it gets into AP first.
So yeah, what if it's a new vendor, Rap? Like that's not on the list.
Yeah, but not on a PO. It has to be in there.
Oh, right. So okay. So in the rec, you can type in a new one.
Well, you can just put miscellaneous or please use this vendor that's in the notes. The PO has to have a vendor.
Okay.
Yeah,
but if they're sending a requisition, I want to know. I mean, like they could just give me like I also need a part number, which I'm noticing is not on this, but like they could give me a part number and an item, and I can go anywhere. Like really,
Yeah.
that we have a vendor
Right,
with.
because they don't pick that. They just say, I need a cable, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Right?
But then, of course, like there could be a change in price depending on. But if they're putting a price down, they should know where.
Where'd they get it from?
Yeah.
Well, that's what Raphael said is coming over in the notes in the rec.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the PO, a final PO to be issued, yeah, we have to have it as a vendor prior to issuing the PO.
Right. Right.
Okay.
All right.
All right,
Going
so let's
back-
go ahead. Let's go back to this. We're going to hit auto load at the bottom right-hand side where it says auto load.
Sorry.
Let's say the auto load signed off. Whoops. That's odd. Let's go ahead and just give me 1 second here. And
You must enter a purchase order in order to auto load.
That doesn't make sense.
there's some information.
You're trying to do.
All right, so go ahead and close at the bottom right-hand side there, Kay. I'm going to dig into this a little more, but let's go ahead and hit new. Down at the bottom, where it's underneath where the vent.
Well, I already hit you up at the top.
Yeah, it was supposed to be down at the bottom, so let's go ahead and clear this screen. And it is weird that it's not auto-loading your PO defaults. So, and this, did we manually select that we were going to manually generate our PO numbers? I think that's something that we had talked about originally, correct?
It's supposed to auto generate.
Yeah, it's supposed to be auto.
It should auto-generate it. It should be based on the PR.
Yeah, okay. Maybe that didn't make it over. All right, darn it. Pending manual. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's refresh the screen, and we're going to go back and try this again. We got a few minutes left. I know we can always do another session with yourself, Craig, Chuck, and Kay on doing this. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go to the far left-hand side near the save button, and we're going to go ahead and clear all that data.
Am I hitting refresh?
If you go to the little right pull down, it'll actually allow you to clear the screen. So. All right, so let's go ahead and go back to query, and we're going to pull up PO number 2, where we've done all our information on. And hopefully we should still have our vendors and everything else in there for rec number 2. Go into form view at the top. And then we're going to go to other information. So we did not save the Amazon services and their payment address, no. And then we're going to load them down into the line. Great. And now we're going to, down there, let's click new at the bottom where it says next to form and auto load and assign. There's a new button down at the bottom there.
It's the bottom new? Not the middle new, the bottom.
Not the middle new, the bottom new. Right. And so we're going to do this a little manually, but only because of, let's try the auto load, see if we have it ready to go or not. I just changed the setting for you.
You want to click auto load?
Click auto load, please. Nope. Okay, close that bottom section there, and let's go ahead and type in the number 1 under that rec line, and then tab, and let's click on that auto assign PO ID checkbox. It's on the left-hand side next to ready for PO.
Third one in.
How am I? Oh, click that. Sorry.
Yep, that's okay.
There's so many words on the screen.
Yes, there are. And so we're going to go ahead and click new on the bottom new, not the middle new or the top new, just the bottom new.
Bottom new.
And we're going to enter our line 2. Buyer must be saved. Oh. So let's go ahead and make sure we have our buyer. So if we go to header, and enter in your buyer code, and there above where it says, yep.
This will look up.
Actually, if you hit tab, shouldn't that?
Probably because you have something in there, Jay.
Yeah, it's looking for stuff because of the 5-1.
There you go.
That's it.
Look.
Boom. Ah.
All right, very good. So now we're going to right click and then make sure we load the buyer. So load buyer right at the very top. Next to the top, I should say. Yep. Okay, so now we should be okay to go new again at the bottom. All right. So let's go ahead and we're in the bottom. Hit close bottom. Apologize for giving a little. And next to that assign PO ID, let's go ahead and scroll over to the right, and we're going to get to that PO field. So in that bottom area, let's scroll to the far right. And scroll until we get purchase order number right there. Oh, go back a little bit. Going and
No work.
There's no number.
Go there and a few more.
What about the bottom where it says assign PO IDs?
Well, we're just about there. We can PO unit of measure and blanket release. 2 more purchase order. That's where we're going to enter in our PO number right there. PO-000001.
Does she have to know what the next one is?
The cost point will start assigning them after this. I updated the setting there.
All right. Okay. So it will auto load.
It will auto load. Okay. So that's line 1. Let's go ahead and click new, and we should be able to get line 2 going here. So enter 2. Yep. There you go. Our covers are all there.
Okay. Good.
Then we go back and
Now
enter
we
that
create
PO
the
number.
same. Yeah, is it the same PO number?
It will be if you enter the same number in that line, the next line
Okay.
down.
So you have to manually.
When it auto assigns, what will it do?
It will do PO-000001 and then auto increment from there.
Well, let me ask you a different question. So for each new line, will it copy the same purchase order, assume the same order, or will it add another purchase order number?
It will assume the same purchase order number.
Okay.
Now, if you have, if you don't enter the vendor at the header information and enter different vendors at the line level, it will cut individual POs because each PO and vendor has got to be unique. So,
Okay.
you could
That makes sense.
put Amazon, you put Amazon and
McMaster.
Master or something like that, and it would give PO1 and PO2.
I wish it was that easy.
All right, so now we can go ahead and hit save at the top.
Makes me break out.
Call you when you see
All right, so now the last phase is, so now we have our purchase order number, we have our purchase rec number, they've been associated, so now we actually need to convert this rec into an actual purchase order. So we're going to go back 1 on the breadcrumb, the purchase requisitions, and at the very bottom, it's the create purchase orders screen. So here's where you can enter in your buyer code, and it will generate all purchase orders, all purchase recs that are ready based on your buyer code, or you can enter by vendor or by requisition. Typically, it's by requisition. So if you go to the requisition pull down,
I guess, hold on, what am I?
sure. If you go down to the buyer, vendor, and then requisition, you select requisition. But in the selected ranges, it says buyer, vendor, requisition. under that requisition, select, go to the right and select 1. And that pull down where it says all, you can click down there and it says 1. There you go. And here we'll pull up our requisition. So hit that spyglass or the magnifying glass and select rec number 2.
Now I would have, like, there's no way for me to see, I would have to know what requisition numbers are associated with different requisitions. There'd be no way for me to associate, like, number 1 is the Ducati and number 2 is the Lamborghini. Like, I'd have to, I guess, know that ahead of time.
Correct.
Going, okay.
We process it.
All right. So now we go up to the gears, up in the icons there, and we're going to go ahead and just click on those gears where it says create purchase order. And do not click OK, just hang out there. So what I typically do when I run this screen is I look at the rec PO line number, and it says number 2. So I know my PO for rec 2 had 2 lines on it, and so to me that tells me all my lines successfully created over to a PO.
Okay. What happens if that number is inconsistent with your expectations?
Then I'm going to go back to the apply PO screen and see that I may or may not have been missing some data. Typically it doesn't.
Okay, but from here, what would you do? Hit the X out?
Yeah, hit the X, hit OK. Yeah, hit OK.
Okay.
And then go back to that screen and check it out. So the apply PO screen. So, all right. So now we can go to the PO and pull up our purchase order. So we go back to purchasing now. So we're changing over to the next module. So if we go to the far left where it says procurement planning, we're going to go to the next one down that says purchasing.
Far left.
There you go. Purchasing, purchase orders, and manage purchase orders. And that will let you see the PO. And then if you go ahead and query, we only have one.
Yeah, a lot of steps.
All right. Very good. So now we can go ahead and print out our purchase order. So if we go back one on the breadcrumbs, and thirds of the way down, print POs. Yep.
And you're driving, Kenny.
Thank God.
And we are going to hit purchase order at the top where it says selected range, and we're going to select our individual PO.
What's in that Starbucks Dunkin' Donuts?
It could be vodka. I'm sorry, Raph. What did you want me to select?
One right there is fine. Hit that one.
Okay.
And then PO, we're going to pull up our purchase order number there. So we're going to hit that magnifying glass and yep. And here's where we can go ahead and print. So if we go to the top, we have our print icons and everything ready to go. So we can go up there, hit the print menu and print our purchase order.
Wait, which one?
The top one.
Print
Top
or
one.
print preview. I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because it comes in the PDF anyway.
All right, now we're going to open or save, either way, whatever you want to do. All right, scroll down.
All right, so that's the cover letter.
Oh, okay.
How funny that
Awfully
looks.
familiar to C Corp.
Exactly. That's how. Remember, I said that to
I
Ryan
know.
probably 2 months ago. I said, "Yeah, now I know where C-Corp is." Oh, so it did it. Look at that. It
Pulled in all
pre-popped.
terms and conditions.
It pulled up all our terms and conditions.
Wow.
Now, Raph, how do we change those terms and conditions? Because I actually have an update to that April file.
Yeah, I can show you. You can go to the. I'll send you the screen location, and you can we can set up a call to go through it. But you got to basically go where it says standard codes, and then you would modify that that code.
Yeah, because what I want to do is upload it into the system so that when Kay does this, and then separately, when we do So this is going to be very interesting, Raph, because we have these terms and conditions for our purchase orders, again, when we're buying material. But when we buy, say, millions of dollars of engineering services from Lockheed Martin, we have a different set of terms and conditions.
Sure.
How do we, is there a way to identify which set of terms and conditions go on the purchase order?
Yeah, by
Absolutely.
purchase type. This is a miscellaneous purchase.
Okay.
We'll be purchasing services.
Right.
So
So if we go back to the POK, I'll show you where we can do that.
Gotcha. All right.
That will
Do you guys
be,
like these cover pages? I can actually set this so that it doesn't print cover pages for you. So.
Yeah, can you do that?
Need it, yeah.
Okay.
When in doubt, take it out.
I wish they did that with everyone.
All right. So let's go ahead and go back to the PO screen, and we're getting close. We were a little over, but I've got a few more minutes. I put in a buffer just in case. So. Let's go to our managed purchase order screen.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. You got it?
Right.
Really? All right. Thank you.
Sure. Purchase order screen there, okay? So if you go to, purchase orders, manage purchase orders at the top there. So where it says header text in the subtasks underneath the header there, so it says header Sal notes text. If you click on that text button, it will bring up our text code that we're using right now for so close to the right a little bit. There you go.
I'll be your assistant.
So we're using sequence 1 as our terms and conditions. We can actually click, you can actually default these a command, or as a buyer, based on what you're buying, you can actually change up and add as many different terms and conditions that you want. So you have T&C for material, T&C for services, T&C for whoever, and based on all of that, we can pull them up separately or default them in.
Okay.
You can also, and I'll be happy to show you how we do that, we can also default it based on the project number you select. So if you select a particular project number, it will default certain text on the POs.
So right now, we only have one sequence, correct?
Correct.
All right. So we should have 3. One's for inventory, one's for inventory or property, and then one's for services, and one's for miscellaneous.
And actually, services we need to break out into 2, because we have C4D terms and conditions and C4 next gen. Slightly different.
And that would be your text code. The sequence is the order that it prints on the purchase order, and the text code is with the version that the code that you wanted, the text that you want to have up here.
Okay.
Good. Wow.
All right, so that'll be an adjustment that we have to go do prospectively.
Yep. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording if that's okay.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
How's the record now?
So all those pithy remarks were on